Hi! My home office doesn't make a great video background. It's cluttered, there's no space for decoration, and honestly, it looks kinda unprofessional. This hanging background is better, but static and boring. What I actually wanted was something like this. Dynamic, on brand, not distracting, but not still either. Now, I could have bought some stock footage, or I could have paid €60 for Apple Motion, or subscribed to Apple's new Creator Studio bundle that everybody's talking about, which includes Motion plus Final Cut Pro and a bunch of other tools for €13 a month. Instead, I built this myself, together with Cloud Code. But this video isn't about building video backgrounds or using AI coding tools, although that was fun. This video is about a bigger question. Build versus buy. It's a decision we all face constantly. Should I pay for this tool or should I figure it out myself? And for most of people and businesses, the answer was usually just buy it. Building takes too long, costs too much, requires skills you don't have. But that equation has changed. And I want to propose a new build versus buy rule to you. Build versus buy. You make this decision all the time, sometimes unconsciously, even if you don't call it that. Do you iron your own shirts or use a dry cleaner? Change your own tires or pay a shop? Edit your own videos or hire an editor? For most of these decisions, there's a clear right answer based on your time, your skills, and what you value. But for knowledge work, building software, creating systems, solving problems that are specific to you, the calculation just changed dramatically. The standard advice in the business world is build what's close to the business, buy everything else. For individuals, the same logic applies. Build what's close to the value you want to create, the stuff that differentiates you. Everything else, just buy a solution and move on. In fact, the number one advice to YouTubers out there seems to be outsource your editing. And this was good advice because building or doing it yourself used to require three things: time, effort, and expertise. And expertise was the killer. If you didn't already have the skills or couldn't hire someone who did, you couldn't even start. The barrier to entry was high. So the circle of things you can build stayed small. Most things defaulted to buy. But here is what most people miss when deciding to buy: understanding. Because when you buy, you skip the learning. You become dependent on the product's assumptions about your problem, and you never really understand why it works the way it does. And that matters more than people realize. So, what did change? Well, let's be honest about what buy actually costs, because it's not just the price tag. You still have to learn the tool. You have to adapt it to your workflow. You're paying for and navigating around features you'll never use. And at the end of that, you get an 80% solution. It solves the general problem, not necessarily your specific problem. If I had bought an Apple Motion license, I would still have needed to learn the tool, go through documentation and tutorials, understand its underlying mental models before getting my first crude background animation out of it. Now, compare that to building. Building used to require expertise upfront. That was the entry ticket. You needed the skills before you could even start. But thanks to AI and AI coding tools, the equation has flipped. Expertise is no longer the entry ticket, it's the reward. Because when you build, even with AI tools doing most of the heavy lifting, you learn the domain, you understand the problem better, you're engaged as the architect of the solution, you discover what you actually need versus what you thought you needed. And yes, AI tools aren't free, and you're still investing time, but the cost of building dropped dramatically. The hidden costs of buying, though, are still there. That's what changed. Let's use this background video generator as an example. I had a simple need: a dynamic, branded background for my videos. Something that moves, fits my brand colors, but doesn't distract. I looked at my options. Stock footage, too generic. Apple Motion, nice, but €60? or 13 a month for the bundle, plus the learning curve of figuring out how to make it do what I want and accepting limitations it has. Or I could try building it. So I spent an afternoon with Claude Code, which is one of the popular tools for AI assistant coding where you describe what you want in plain English and then it writes the code. I didn't write the code myself. I made the design decisions, the architecture, the underlying principles, what it should do. And that led me to something interesting. I started with a complicated idea, a video pipeline with multiple generator types, fractals, noise patterns and an encoding backend. But as I built it, I realized just a single engine with different layers is all you really need. Everything I wanted could be expressed as layers of gradients, composed together, and if I wanted more layers, I could always add them on top of those. So I just needed to implement different additional layer types and then I was done. That insight and the thinking behind it, I would never have thought about that if I had just bought a tool. I may have been overwhelmed by all the options thinking, what does it all mean and why? I only understood what I actually needed by trying to build it. Total time, maybe 3 hours or 4 hours, and I ended up with something that does exactly what I want. Nothing more, nothing less. This isn't new for me, by the way. Many years ago, early in my AWS career, I got frustrated with CloudFormation, which is Amazon Web Services infrastructure as a code tool. It felt too complicated. So I started building my own Python library to manage infrastructure. I was convinced I could do it better, or at least more simple. And then I hit the hard problems. State management, rollbacks, dependency resolution. Suddenly, I understood why CloudFormation worked the way it did. It was solving problems I hadn't appreciated until I faced them myself. Did I end up using my own library? No, I went back to CloudFormation. But I became much better at using it and at explaining it to my customers, because now I understood what was happening under the hood. That's what I call the learning dividend. Even when you end up buying, building first makes you an informed buyer. You know what questions to ask, you know what to look for, you know what the solution should look like. I may still end up buying an Apple Motion license, but now I know much better what it can do for me and how to think about it. So here is a new rule I'd like to propose. When in doubt, build first. Not always build, not never buy. Just when you're not sure, try building. The worst that can happen is you spend some time, learn the domain more deeply, and then you buy. But now you're an informed buyer. The best case, you end up with exactly what you need. Nothing more, nothing less, and more flexibility to adapt. Now, obviously, there are some limits. Like, don't perform surgery on yourself. Or do anything other very risky things, right? Some things are really better left to the experts. But you can apply this rule to everything that is low risk and easily fixable. Tools, systems, workflows, not life and death decisions. And yes, you still need to understand the problem you're solving. AI can amplify your thinking, but it doesn't replace it. The best reason why you should default to building is trying to build is how you develop deep understanding of the problem. It gives you valuable insights you literally cannot buy. I didn't fully know what I needed until I tried building it. Now I do. And I'm not done, so you should see better backgrounds over time here. This is also the reason why I haven't outsourced my video editing yet, by the way. How would I give useful feedback to an editor if I've never wrestled with a timeline myself? Building that skill first, even imperfectly, makes me a better client later if I do decide to hire someone. And editing my own videos is fun. I don't want to miss that. So that's my new rule. When in doubt, build first. What do you think? And you don't need to be a coder to try this. Next time you're about to pay for some software or service, hold on. Think, how can I build this myself, even if it's just a crude prototype? You can ask Claude to build an artifact for you. For example, my daughter recently struggled with learning sine and cosine functions and understanding how they relate to the unity circle and triangles. The math book was boring, as those books often are. So I asked Claude to build an interactive artifact that visualizes the relationship between sine, cosine, triangles and circles. The result was beautiful, and I wish teachers would use Claude like this instead of just dumping heavy books on our kids. Check out the video generator I built. It's on GitHub. The link is in the description. It's open source. You can use it, fork it, do whatever you want with it. And for more inspiration, check out Simon Willison's tools collection. As of today, there are 178 tools that Simon built with AI to solve little challenges and needs he came across. Every single one of these tools could have been a small SaaS service or a piece of software for a couple of dollars per user or more. And if you want a deeper dive on this topic, including some things I couldn't fit into this video, there is a companion blog post also linked below. So, thank you for watching, and next time you reach to your wallet, maybe try building first.